Hello, everyone. What we're going to be doing today is looking at this slideshow on different tips and information regarding our ACT exam. Now, this is basically geared towards our juniors who will be taking the exam this year, but it actually benefits everyone. So all my freshmen and sophomores that are watching this, I would pay attention because this will be you next year or the year after. All right, so the ACT exam is a very important exam. It's actually a graduation requirement in the state of Nevada. So it means that you must take it regardless if you plan on going to college or not. Now, this exam is basically an aptitude test of your abilities that some colleges will use to judge your level in certain courses, being reading, English, math, and science. And they use it to place you in classes when you actually go to college, as well as use it as what's called an admissions criteria. So I would go ahead and pay attention to this. This will also be posted in Canvas. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. So this year, in 21, our ACT exam will be held at Arborview High School for all juniors on Tuesday, February 23rd. And it should be between 8 to 1. It will be hit or miss. So masks will be required and busing is available. So make sure that you have your mask. It will be required to wear it properly. It must be a mask and not a gaiter or a rag. It actually has to be a mask. So here are some test taking tips. First, obviously, we're going to be prepared. Secondly, be confident. So by preparing yourself, that does lend to your confidence. And three, we're going to keep it as simple as possible. So we're not going to overthink things. We're going to be very direct in what we do. So before the test, you're going to study up to a couple of days before the test. Then take a break and give your brain a rest. Right? So what you're going to do is, from now until the time the test happens, you're going to want to study up to like a day or two before. And then you're going to kind of give yourself a break, let your brain kind of rest, let it all absorb, and then hopefully you're ready to go. Now, the day before the test, you want to get a good night's sleep. So try to get 8 hours. I know that's hard for some people, but you do want to be as fresh as you can and alert and ready to go. Now, the day of the test, we do ask that you please try to wake up a little earlier than normal, right? Don't last minute run out of the house and miss the bus, okay? So don't be rushed. So we don't know what the weather's going to be like, so we want you to be comfortable. So we're going to ask you that you dress in layers, wear a t-shirt and a sweatshirt. This way, if you need to in the classroom, you can go ahead and take something off or put something on, depending on, what you need to be as comfortable as you can while you're taking the test. Also, we're going to ask that you eat a nice breakfast, right? Sit down because you woke up early, you have time to eat breakfast. You don't have to take it running out the door. But don't eat anything weird that can upset your stomach or things like that. Eat what you usually eat for breakfast. The night before, maybe try eating some carbohydrates, drink water and a snack. Bring water and a snack for the day of the test. So that morning too, you probably want to go over and review your notes. So review over your formula sheets, your tips, your notes, little things that you notice that you might need to prepare. All right, what to bring? So an ID, calculator, pencils, a silent timer, or watch. So you cannot bring any smartwatches. All right, nothing that has internet access that you can have on the desk at all. So it's important to keep track of time. So what's going to happen is that in the classroom when you're taking the test, we always give you updates on time. We write the start time and the end time on the board, and we write when you have 5 minutes. And we'll let you know when you have 5 minutes left. What you should do is, when you have 5 minutes left, you should go back, and any questions that you haven't answered, you should bubble an answer. All right? The ACT does not penalize you for having wrong answers, right? So whether you leave it blank or it's wrong, it's the same thing. So you might as well bubble something in to go ahead and get some scores. Now, you should go back and bubble those questions in, and then with the remainder of the time, work on the ones that you're still working on. Just keep in mind that you need to bubble everything in when time is called, because what'll happen is your proctor will walk around and mark how many you have unbubbled. And that just ensures that you can't go back and bubble them later. Okay, so that's your bubble everything with 5 minutes. All right, so test anxiety. There's a link here, which I'll share in this PowerPoint when I put it on Canvas, where if you do feel some test anxiety, there's a video here that might help you out with some tips and tricks and techniques to help you relax a little. Test anxiety is very normal. A lot of people do suffer from it, so don't feel like it's something that, it's just unique to you. It's something that's very common. So here are some tips for test anxiety. Obviously, you want to be prepared. You want to study efficiently and review. 2, you want to have a positive mental attitude. Think of your mantra. So basically, you want to tell yourself, all right, I got this. I'm prepared. I'm good to go. There's nothing more I could do. 3, don't worry about others around you. So you are in charge of your own destiny. It doesn't matter what other people are doing, how fast they go, how slow they go. Worry about yourself and your own test. 4, get there early. You don't want to stress about being late. That'll only add to your anxiety. Know what is on the exam. So that just comes from preparing. When you prepare and take practice tests, you'll feel more confident. Relax and take deep breaths. So if you do feel yourself getting a little stressed, right, just try to relax, take a deep breath, try to reset yourself. 7, don't forget to eat and drink before the test. Obviously, you don't want to worry about being hungry or thirsty while you're doing it. Exercise is a great way to kind of get that anxiety out. Obviously, you can't exercise during the test, but whenever you feel stressed while you're preparing, you might want to, just take a minute, go for a quick walk outside. And 9, be well rested. So just some recaps on the test, right? We want to be prepared, know the test, know your formulas, and know your pace. Be confident, stay calm, stay focused, and just do your best. We're going to keep it simple. Don't second guess yourself or spend too long making decisions. Do your best to move on. Don't overanalyze. It is okay to miss a question, right? Make sure you have your calculator and your pencil, okay? And an ID, obviously. Now that we've talked about what to expect on test day and how to prepare, we're going to get into a little more in depth about the ACT test itself. So the composite average in Nevada is 17.9 out of a possible 36. So the average score for all the parts is 17.9 in Nevada. Right, so for our review, our goal is a composite of 22. So 22 is a very respectable score on the ACT, and that will place you into most college classes. So you will be taking a writing exam as well. And one of the questions is, so does the writing score change your composite score? And the answer to that is no. Your composite score is still just the average of the 4 multiple choice sections, which are math, reading, science, and English. The essay gives more information about your writing skills, but does not affect your overall ACT score. You can look up colleges that require writing. Writing is a requirement for the Nevada high school graduation, so you need to go ahead and actually write a paragraph. You can't just write a sentence. It will not be accepted as you actually taking that part of the exam. So college readiness benchmarks. So in science, you are considered ready for college if you score a 23. For math, it's a 22. Reading is a 22, and English is an 18. So the Millennial Scholarship, which a lot of you will try and qualify for, requires a 3.25 GPA or a 22 on the ACT. So even if you slacked a little bit and you need a little assistance getting into that scholarship range, studying for the ACT can help you out if you get a 22. So here's the content. The English exam, which is what you'll start with, it's 75 questions in 45 minutes, obviously all multiple choice. Mathematics, which is what we're focusing on, is 60 questions in 60 minutes. So when you think about it, that's 1 question per minute. Now, some questions will take more than a minute to do. And what you need to do is the questions that you're prepared for and you want to try and do those as fast as possible to kind of bank time to use them for other questions. And another important technique is not waste time. If you clearly don't know the answer, just skip it and go back to it later. And those can be some of the ones that you randomly bubble at the end. Reading is 40 questions in 35 minutes, and science is 40 questions in 35 minutes. ACT writing is 1 prompt and 40 minutes. So you'll be given some sort of question and have to write an essay. All right, write in the test booklet. So you're going to show your work in the text booklet. You don't get any scrap paper. You're going to complete 2 pages in the text booklet. Bubble before you turn to the next page. So just make sure that you have your answers marked in your test booklet. It does help you. When you bubble on the ACT after every answer, you are wasting time by transferring your attention to the bubble sheet and then back to the test. You are also wasting brain cells by having to find your place in the test and re-engage with the content. So what this is suggesting that you do is actually mark your answers in the test booklet, and then once you finish those 2 pages, then bubble them in and then go to the next page. Leave nothing blank. So at 5 minutes to go, you want to bubble in everything. Okay, so this is probably one of the best ways to go ahead and gain some extra points that you normally would have lost, because a lot of people, with 5 minutes left, they start rushing to go ahead and finish whatever problems they haven't gotten to yet, instead of taking that time and going back and just bubbling in things that need to be done. Evaluate the answers. So remember, there is only one right answer, okay? So what you want to do is you're going to review your answers. Obviously, there's going to be some answers that you know are wrong. Just put an X through them. You know that they are not a possible answer. Dash next to answers that are possible. So you can put a dash or a question mark, meaning that, you know what, you think these are possible answers, and maybe with some of them, you can just put them into the problem and find out if it actually works. Then you're going to make a decision in the test book, and you'll circle your final answer. Star numbers that you would like to come back to and work on if time allows. Skip questions. So skip difficult or time-consuming questions. Reading and science, take a best guess. Star if you want to come back at the end of the test to improve your answer. So because reading and science, it's basically this is the answer, it's not the answer, and for the most part, you're going to know right away if you know that answer or not. So you don't want to waste time debating on it, because it's not like you have to do major calculations here. It just comes from the text. English and math, not cumulative, so okay to skip. Especially with math, if you really don't know, skip it. Okay, if it's not something that's familiar, it might pop into your brain later. Time pressure is a problem for many students. Skip questions that are giving you trouble before they eat up too much of your time. Star numbers you want to go back to later. With the bigger the star, the more important to return to that item. So you know what? Let's be honest. Let's say that you're doing a question and it seems so familiar. It seems like you've seen this before, but you just can't get it out of your head. Maybe you put a big star on that one to say, hey, this is something I want to go back to, because by the time you do a couple of other problems, it might come back to you. Then I would put little stars next to problems that you are pretty sure you do not know. With 5 minutes left, bubble unanswered questions. So we've gone over that several times about bubbling these questions, and obviously it's because time sneaks up on people. And all of a sudden, you meant to go back and bubble those 6 or 7 questions that you didn't know, but time has been called, and you don't want to be caught bubbling after time. That would be very bad. It could invalidate your test. Process of elimination. So attack tougher confusion questions. For every question, there is only one completely correct answer. If 2 of the answers are the same, eliminate them both. Obviously, if something says x is 2 and 2 is x, that doesn't make sense. So why would the same answer be written twice? Look for reasons to eliminate answers. Obviously, look for some hints in the answers. If you're talking about what is the volume of something, you're going to be looking for something that's cubed. If it's not cubed, it's not the right answer. If there is even one tiny thing out of place in the answer choice, get rid of it, right? So Like if it said squared, you're looking for cubed, but the number looked right, just get rid of it. Careful when you erase. So it's important to have a good eraser. Careful to erase without any smudge marks. It needs to be nice and clean. Do not leave any stray pencil marks on the bubble sheet. Carefully transfer answers from the booklet to the bubble sheet, checking each number so not to get off in numbering. All right, so when you go ahead and you go to turn your page, make sure that the last thing you bubbled is the last number of the question on the page that you're turning. Take time practice tests. So know your tests, know your pace. So times by section. So English, right? 75 questions, 45 minutes, 9 minutes per 15 question passage. So that means each one you can only work on each passage for about 15 minutes to stay on pace. Math, 1 minute per question. Should be able to do the first 20 quicker so you can spend more time on the last 10. It gets harder as you go. Reading questions, 40 and 35 minutes. So once again, every passage is 10 questions. You have 8 minutes and 45 seconds to stay on pace. And science is 40 questions in 35 minutes. So about 5 minutes and 50 seconds for 6 to 7 question passage. Know how to use your time. So all questions have the same point value. Just because a question is harder doesn't mean it's worth more on this test. They're all equal. So do not spend too much time on one item. Come back to it later if time allows. If you will never be able to solve this question, quickly choose the letter of the day. So the letter of the day basically means, if I don't know the answer to a question, what letter am I going to choose? A, B, C, D, E. So if I'm going to choose A for all the questions I'm guessing on, for this one, maybe I'll do A for them all. Just stay consistent. Later, if this question is taking too much time and you think you can solve it later, leave question blank and come back to it at the end. English and math, obviously you want to skip your time-consuming questions and come back to them later. And now reading/science, take the best guess then come back at the end of the test to improve your answers if time permits. All right, learn by correcting mistakes. I know why I missed that question. So correct mistakes and practice, practice, practice. Obviously, the more you become familiar with these questions, the easier it will become. Review until you understand any error. If you're 90% sure, go with it. There is no time to be a perfectionist. And finally, let's just recap all of our tips that we showed in the last one. Make sure that you're prepared, bring what you need to, and just be ready to go. All right, we're going to be spending time going over different techniques and practicing our ACT for the next week or two while we prepare. All right, so if you have any questions, just go ahead and let me know.